Join us as Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. The Michigan primaries and the general election are coming up, so we thought we should say something about why you should vote. Elizabeth Wallis from the League of Women Voters in Texas says here are some reasons why you should vote. She says if nobody votes, it's not a democracy. If you don't vote, people will not take you seriously. Voting is how you define yourself as part of something larger than yourself. Number 4, if you do not vote, someone else will make the decisions for you. Voting is part of your independence. Number 5, it matters. It matters to the future of you, your family, and your community. 6, people who don't vote are letting down their families and their communities. Moms, do you have an 18-year-old in your family? If so, give him or her register and be certain they vote. 8, refusing to vote isn't a rebellion, it's a surrender. Number 9, love your country. Prove it by voting. Number 10, voting is the great equalizer. The richest billionaire in America gets just one vote, the same as you and me. Number 11, what do the smart people do? They vote. They are voters. Number 12, elections have consequences. Be a voter. Elected officials make all the big decisions, and they listen to the people who vote. Number 14, if you don't vote, you're invisible to the elected officials who make all the big decisions. Number 15, did you know people with money spend billions of dollars on elections? Billions spent for television ads, mailers, people to make phone calls and to knock on doors. The smart people spending all that money are trying to influence the voters. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't do it. Number 16, if you don't vote because you think your vote doesn't matter, then the people who don't want you to vote because you are afraid of how your vote will not win. Number 17, bad people are elected by the good people who did not vote. Hundreds of thousands of Americans have died to protect your right to vote. You owe it to them to vote. 19, voting is the right thing to do. Start preparing to vote now. Go and register at the Secretary of State's office. Find out where your polling place is and be prepared to be the first person in line to vote that day. If you do not have transportation to the polling place, call your local library and find out who is offering free transportation to polling locations. Remember, vote.
You need to live life with a purpose. You need to spend the time needed to explore, to find your true passion. There are so many unhappy people in this world not willing to make a change. There are so many unhappy people not focusing on the big picture. 1 out of 3 people are happy with their lives. Think about that for a second. 70% of the people you see every day are not happy. And the majority of that has to do with purpose. People are programmed, wired to be okay with the minimum. People stay in jobs they're not passionate about. They date people who don't support them. hang out with people who don't help them grow. This can't be you. You need to spend the time to discover what your true calling is. What are you passionate about? What do you see yourself doing to make your mark? Are you in a job right now that you're truly happy with? Do you wake up every morning excited to start your day? If not, that's okay. You know now this isn't fulfilling you. But what are you gonna do about it? Are you willing to make a change to help reach your goals? If you are, it needs to start now. Because this won't happen overnight, finding your true calling. But once you do, you will see how everything changes. You will begin to see the quality of your life increase. All those problems you had, they slowly fade. You begin to see how powerful life is with a purpose. Resolve is defined as successfully finding the answer to something or making a decision about something. And this is tough for some people, but this is one of the most important things you can do in your life, is deciding firmly and declaring what your purpose will be in this life. Now, you might not have the best job, the best education, or the best family situation, but the starting point to making that change is showing resolve, deciding what do you want to change in your life. Once you make that decision, you can now focus on what steps are needed to make that change. What steps today can you make to see that change happen? Remember, you are the women of courage.
Last time we discussed the lives of 17 black women. These were women that participated in the civil rights movement. They performed exceptionally. Most of these women were just ordinary, average women, except they wanted change to take place in their lives and in the neighborhood and in the lives of their friends and families. So they got up and did something. We introduced these 17 women to you because we wanted you to compare yourself to these women. Why can't you live a life the way these women lived their lives? You need to ask yourself this question. You need to ask yourself, what am I doing to participate in life, to bring about a change so my children can live a better life than what I lived? If you cannot come up with a reason why you are not participating in life, then you need to take a serious, hard look at yourself, and you need to look at the people who you are living around, the people that you consult for advice, the people who you listen to. This is extremely important. If you do not change, what do you expect from the lives of your children? All you can expect is that they're going to end up prostituting themselves, selling dope, or ending up in prison. Did you bring your children into the world for these children to their lives to go down the drain? Well, if you brought your children into the world because you love them, then you must stand up and fight for their lives, which means that you're going to have to go back to school, which means you're going to have to change your life, which means you're going to have to clean your house, which means you're going to have to learn how to manage your time. Life is not something that you play with. You don't have time to sit and gossip. You don't have time to be talking about somebody else's breast and butt. You don't have time for foolishness. You don't have time to be sitting up smoking marijuana. Last week we had a report of a woman. She wanted to sit down and have a good time smoking marijuana, so she gave her child some cold medicine. She ended up killing her child. She poisoned her child with this cold medicine so she could have time to smoke marijuana. Is that not unbelievably stupid? If this woman was a reader, she would have known you cannot give children noxious substances like that. Their bodies cannot process those chemicals. Now this woman is facing murder charges for killing her infant child. Is that unbelievably stupid? Once you bring a child into the world, you are responsible for the life of that child. Period. It is unconditional. That's the way life is. When you bring a child into the world, you are responsible for that child. Then you need to educate yourself and learn some discipline so that that child can live a healthy life. If you do not feel good about yourself, then go see a psychiatrist. Go talk to a psychologist. If you're bringing unrelated men into your home every other month, you need to go see a psychiatrist. If you're trying to screw every man in the world, trying to prove how better you are than somebody else, you need to see a psychiatrist. Something is wrong with the way that you think. If you go out to bars trying to find a man so he can give you $30 to pay your light bill, something's wrong with the way you think. That's a stupid proposition. You're going to take a chance on your life by contacting AIDS just to get somebody, screw a man so he can give you some money. And why are you so worried about your butt size and your breast size? You want to go have an operation so you can enhance your butt, as they call it, so you can have a larger butt to attract men, and you're going to take a chance on your life and leave your children here motherless. That doesn't make any sense. You need to be satisfied with the body that God gave you and go on with it. You don't have time to sit down moaning why your feet are a size 9 or why they're a size 11 and why you got a big nose and a flat face. You ain't got time for that foolishness. You have to get up and earn a living to make certain that your children have what they need to become strong adults who can take care of themselves, who can make good decisions and not stupid decisions like going to try to rob somebody and steal someone's purse when they don't even know how much money they got in their wallet or purse. Stop using poverty as an excuse. Yes, poverty is hell, but you can come out of it because other people have come out of it. But you have to have discipline. You're going to have to want to do it. And if you're around stupid talking people, you need to get away from them because that's what's pulling you down. Anyone that's not going in a good direction in their life, you need to leave them alone. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break. Today we are going to discuss 12 black women who contributed to our lives. I think the best phrase to describe Miss Lillian Lincoln Lambert is to say she had a mind of her own. Miss Lambert was the first African American woman to graduate Harvard Business School. This is important because she did not graduate until 1969. Think about it. It took until 1969 before a black woman completed the business course at Harvard University. Miss Lambert was born in Ballsville, Virginia, May 12, 1940. She is still alive. She attended Howard University. She attended Harvard University and then she attended Harvard Business School. Lillian Lambert worked on the farm when she was young. When she graduated high school, she had to work as a maid in New York because that was the only employment that she could find. From there, she moved to D.C. to attend college. At the age of 22, she developed an important relationship. She met H. Nader Fitzhugh, who was a Harvard Business School graduate. He became her mentor and encouraged her to enroll in Harvard Business School. When she entered Harvard Business School, there were only 6 blacks out of 800 students. What was amazing about Lillian Lambert's time at Harvard University is that she found time to work with three other students to increase the number of blacks attending Harvard Business School. Think of all of the hours she and Leroy Willis, Clifton Darden, Theodore Lewis, and George Robert Price put in to accomplish this task. This group was able to increase the enrollment for blacks at Harvard Business School sevenfold, and they provided career development opportunities. The real test to her character and courage came when she graduated Harvard Business School. No one would hire her. She had to return to the company that she had previously worked for. Imagine her disappointment. Think of all the years she worked to receive her MBA, and not one Fortune 500 company would hire her. Lillian Lambert did not let this stop her. She worked various jobs until a former colleague recommended her for a job as an executive vice president to Unified Services, a building maintenance business. After working as a vice president for several years, she finally tested herself. She decided to go into business for herself. In 1976, she created Centennial One. She put the headquarters in Landover, Maryland. She started with 20 part-time employees, a $4,000 savings, and a $12,000 line of credit, and an office in her garage. By the time she decided to sell the company in 2001, Centennial One was making over $20 million in revenues and had 1,200 employees and had operations in 4 states. Lillian Lambert has written 2 books, The Road to Someplace Better and From the Segregated South to Harvard Business School and Beyond. These books are worth reading. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break. Please tell your friends and family about our broadcast and invite them to listen to us every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. on 88.1 FM WHPR. You can email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com to learn more about our programs and how you can become involved. You can find inspirational articles by the Women of Courage Show by visiting the website touchedbythelight.us. You can read some of our essays on your lunch hour. These articles will help you last throughout the day. They will inspire you not to quit.
When you wake up this morning, I want you to think about a few things. In your life, what makes you happy? Is it family, relationships? Is it working or building your career? Is it school or education? What makes you happy every day? What makes you eager to start your morning? Now, while you're doing this, I want you to block any negative thoughts that you have. This is the time of day where you begin to invite positive thoughts into your mind. I want you to think about gratitude, being thankful for the things that you have in your life, being thankful that you woke up this morning, that you have a job and a place to sleep, being thankful that you have people around you that truly love and support you. Now make sure when you walk through today, you do it with a positive mind and live by the law of attraction. Believe 100% that positive things will happen throughout the day. And even if things don't go as planned, do not spend time focusing on that. Everything that you want in your life can be achieved. And it's up to you to go out and make it happen. And remember, express positive energy and you will get positive things back in your life. This is how you live by the law of attraction.
Reading is one of the most important activities that a person can participate in. A world of information is available to you. This information can help you shape and change not only your life but the lives of your children and spouse. Visit the website touchedbythelight.us and find yourself a book to read. For more information, you can email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. Next, we're going to give a brief description of 11 women who contributed to the welfare of black people. The women are Elizabeth Freeman, Zola Houston, Mary Shade, Fannie Lou Hamer, Octavia Butler, Lorraine Hansberry, Marion Meacham, and Betsy Ancaria and Lucy Staten, Betsy Coleman, and Shirley Chisholm. You can research each of these women at your local library or on the internet. You will be amazed at what you will learn. Elizabeth Freeman. In 1781, Elizabeth Freeman took it upon herself to free the slaves living in Massachusetts. This is how she did it. Freeman was the first black slave to file and win a freedom suit in the state of Massachusetts. And the case was Bourne versus Bett and Ashley, 1781, which found slavery to be inconsistent with the state's constitution, upholding her freedom and implying that all states in Massachusetts were free. Taylor Hurston, one of the most influential writers of the 20th century. Her work transformed and inspired American literature, most widely known for her novel, The Eyes Were Watching God. The significance of Houston's legacy is without question. The next woman is Mary Ann Shade. She was an abolitionist and a writer. Mary Ann Shade was the first black female newspaper editor. After escaping to Canada, she founded the Provincial Freeman in 1853. She then moved back to the United States to attend Harvard Law. She graduated at the age of 60 and became the second black woman in the United States to hold such a degree. I want you to note that age had no difference to what these women attempted accomplished in their lives. Age did not frighten them. It did not prevent them from starting new careers. Fannie Lou Hamer is a woman that I want you to spend some time researching. She really deserves accolades. She put her body on the line for civil rights. As part of the Student Nonviolence Coordinating Committee, Ms. Hamer dedicated her life to civil rights activism. She helped found the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party and made the country pay attention to the egregious display of white supremacy, especially in Mississippi. Think about this. Fannie Lou Hamer worked as a sharecropper for 18 years. She lived in what was called the Deep South. She lived in Rulesville, Mississippi. Mississippi was the last bastion of the KKK, the state where Medgar Evers was murdered, and the state where the 3 civil rights workers were murdered. Miss Hamer was in jail when Medgar Evers was shot to death. Mississippi was not a very nice place to be if you were black. In 1962, Fannie Lou Hamer learned that she had the right to vote. This knowledge caused her and her husband to lose their jobs. This was a terrible price to pay for registering to vote and helping other black people register to vote. Her employer told her that the people in Mississippi were not ready for blacks to vote. 50% of the state's population was black. She became a member of SNCC, SNCC. She was best described by these three statements. I was determined to see that things were changed. She was fighting the virulent strain of hatred that caused someone to poison the two mules her father purchased at a great sacrifice. Black people couldn't go to a bank and get a loan to purchase seeds or farm animals. They had to save their money, which means they had to damn near starve to death to save money to purchase a mule. Ms. Hamer said, I do remember one time a man came to me after the students began to work in Mississippi, and he said the white people were getting tired and they were getting tense and something might happen. Well, I asked him how long he thinks we've been getting tired. I've been tired for 46 years, and my parents were tired before me, and their parents were tired. And I've always wanted to do something that would help some of the things I would see going on among Negroes that I didn't like and I don't like now. Miss Fannie Lou Hamer was beaten while she was in jail. As she was being beaten, her dress came up and she reached to pull it down. The policeman pulled her dress back up again. The gesture was meant to humiliate her. White men like to show other people how powerful he is, and he uses rape to do it. Annie Devine, Victoria Gray, and Fannie Lou Hamer worked tirelessly not only to register black voters, they challenged the congressional representative in their district. These women changed Mississippi politics. September the 17th, 1965, Devine, Hamer, and Gray became the first black women in the United States to be seated on the floor of the United States House of Representatives as they offered testimony and presented over 15,000 pages of sworn testimony documenting the harassment and violence aimed at black voters as evidence to challenge the regular Mississippi congressman. This was a great feat because I want you to remember, black men weren't the only people being lynched. Black women, when they refused sex, were also lynched. Miss Fannie Lou Hamer was recruited in 1961 during one of the meetings at the Ruleville, Mississippi. In 1962, she became pregnant with her first child. She was sentenced to 2 years in prison for contributing to the delinquency of minors. The conviction was a result of her teaching nonviolent direct action to high school students. Learning of her pregnancy, Judge Moore changed her sentence to 10 days in jail for failure to move from the white side of the courtroom. He learned of her statement, this would be a black baby born in Mississippi, whether I'm in jail or not. He will be in prison. I believe if I go to jail now, it may help hasten the day when my child and all children will be free, not only on the day of their birth, but for all of their lives. You have to salute Miss Hamer because she stood her ground. Remember, you can go to our YouTube channel, Touched by the Light Publishing, and you can listen to some of our previous broadcasts. Now, Octavia Butler. Miss Butler was a science fiction writer. Her work centered around women of color. As a black writer, Butler broke into the science fiction gender, trailblazing for many women and Afrofuturist authors. She was the first in her gender to receive a MacArthur Genius Grant and is a long-standing symbol of defiance. Miss Lorraine Hansberry was the first black woman playwright to have her work performed on Broadway. She used her plays to highlight the reality of racism in America, never shying away from raw content. She dedicated most of her life to the Pan-Africanism and black liberation. Mary Meacham. Meacham was an abolitionist and Underground Railroad leader. She helped Enslaved black people escaped to freedom by purchasing their freedom and using her home as a safe house. She and her husband also ran a school for free and enslaved black people. Meacham dedicated her life to freedom, and she is honored through the Meacham Freedom Crossing celebration. Please research some of these organizations that I mentioned because they're not in history books, and our children need to know this information. We want you to know there are more than Rosa Parks who stood up and actively worked for civil rights. Lucy Staton. Miss Staton is the first black woman to complete a course of study in a 4-year institution. She was an abolitionist and she was a feminist, as well as the editor of the Cleveland first black newspaper, The Alien American, and was the first black woman to publish a work of fiction. Well, most people know the name Betsy Coleman. She was the first black female pilot. She rose to fame across America and Europe for her talents, but she had to go to France to be free. Then there was Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm was a politician. She was an educator and an author. Miss Chisholm became the first black woman to be elected to Congress, and she championed for racial progress throughout her career. She also ran for president. Now to the dark side. These next three women that I'm going to discuss, I can only give you their first name. This is horrible, horrible information. The women were named Betsy, Lucy, and Anarcha. Every year for Black History Month, Judge Mosley posts daily tributes on his Facebook page that provides information about remarkable African American who were excluded from our history. These three women have been excluded: Anarcha, Betsy, and Lucy. These women were victims of the medical experimentations performed by Dr. Marion Simmons. They call him the father of gynecology. Simmons experimented on black enslaved women without anesthesia. A statue of Simmons stands today outside the New York Academy of Medicine. People want this statue removed. Dr. J. Sims, the father of modern gynecology, experimented on female slaves without providing anesthesia to find a cure for, I'm going to spell this, DESICO, vaginal fistula. 17-year-old Anarcha, who had just given birth for the first time, was separated from her infant, trapped in Dr. Simmons' care, and operated on 30 times. SOB operated her 30 times without any anesthesia, and they have nerve enough to call this man father of modern gynecology and put a statue to his history while he is being celebrated in books. The books exclude the fact that they failed to mention the torture that he forced on women of color. Generations of medical students were taught that Sims was a hero. They did not learn of his torturous acts, while white doctors continued to experiment on men and women of color. Don't say anything about the Jews in Germany without opening your mouth about the blacks in the United States being operated on and experimented on. Problem with our history is we do not know their last names, and we do not know the names of all the other slaves that were operated on, because history has neglected the role of the black woman played in the advancement of medicine in America. Their bodies were used by physicians like Marion Simmons to study and experiment on. Dr. Simmons opened a clinic in Montgomery, Alabama. So to stay afloat monetarily, he started doing work on plantations, providing care for slaves. But during this time, he came across captive women who had what we know now as obstetric fistulas, which is an opening usually caused by a traumatic childbirth. Dr. Simmons decided to test on these three slaves, Betsy, Anarcha, and Lucy. These were painful procedures and done without anesthesia. Simmons did more and more of these procedures, conducting them in front of groups of medical professions. The women stood naked before these men. They were not given the right to be clothed, and they were experimented on in front of others. To make matters worse, the surgeries were not successful early on, resulting in tears to the vagina and more pain. Simmons did these experiments from 1846 to 1849. After 30 procedures on Antarctica, he was able to perfect his technique. Can you imagine this? These procedures helped him succeed greatly in the medical field. He became president of the American Medical Association and a member of the New York Academy of Medicine. He became a renowned surgeon and amassed great wealth, but invisible in his shadow was the enslaved women which he experimented on. And the white man has the unmitigated gall to say that this man deserves accolades. He's no better than Joseph Mengele out of Germany during the Second World War. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now,
You need to live life with a purpose. You need to spend the time needed to explore, to find your true passion. There are so many unhappy people in this world not willing to make a change. There are so many unhappy people not focusing on the big picture. 1 out of 3 people are happy with their lives. Think about that for a second. 70% of the people you see every day are not happy. And the majority of that has to do with purpose. People are programmed, wired to be okay with the minimum. People stay in jobs they're not passionate about. They date people who don't support them, hang out with people who don't help them grow. This can't be you. You need to spend the time to discover what your true calling is. What are you passionate about? What do you see yourself doing to make your mark? Are you in a job right now that you're truly happy with? Do you wake up every morning excited to start your day? If not, that's okay. You know now this isn't fulfilling you. But what are you gonna do about it? Are you willing to make a change to help reach your goals? If you are, it needs to start now. Because this won't happen overnight, finding your true calling. But once you do, you will see how everything changes. You will begin to see the quality of your life increase. All those problems you had, they slowly fade. You begin to see how powerful life is with a purpose. Anything that you want in this life can be obtained. You just need to believe. Believe in yourself. You are strong. You are beautiful. You are resilient. You are what we call the women of courage. And your time is now. There are no victims in this life. So I'm asking you, are you ready to make a change? Are you ready to fight for what you want? Are you ready to fight for your dreams? If you are, it starts now. This is the Women of Courage. Resolve is defined as successfully finding the answer to something or making a decision about something. And this is tough for some people, but this is one of the most important things you can do in your life, is deciding firmly and declaring what your purpose will be in this life. Now, you might not have the best job, the best education, or the best family situation, but the starting point to making that change is showing resolve, deciding what do you want to change in your life. Once you make that decision, you can now focus on what steps are needed to make that change. What steps today can you make to see that change happen? Remember, you are the Women of Courage.
Dear listeners, help us save a life. Stop breast cancer from taking lives. Will you assist us in putting the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer in the hands of 1 million people? Please go to the website www.touchedbythelight.us and download the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer. Then email this booklet to 5 friends, asking them to email the booklet to 5 of their friends. We are trying to reach 1 million women with this information to save lives. The death of one woman to breast cancer from our community is one woman too many. We thank you for your support. Remember, if you miss one of our shows, you can visit our YouTube channel at Touched by the Light Publishing to watch and listen to previous episodes of Women of Courage. Thank you.
You're watching Detroit's own WHPR TV. Detroit Live.
Hi, this is Renee stepping out on faith. You can watch me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the WHPR TV Now app. Download our free app at WHPR TV Now.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Reading is one of the most important activities that a person can participate in. A world of information is available to you. This information can help you shape and change not only your life, but the lives of your children and spouse. Visit the website touchedbythelight.us and find yourself a book to read. For more information, you can email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. Here are some more reasons why you should vote whenever there is an election. Number 1, elections have consequences. You have the power to decide on the quality of life you want for yourself and future generations. Voting is your chance to stand up for the issues you care about, like public transportation, raising the minimum wage, or funding local schools. This is your life. Take the time to help decide what is best. Not voting means you are giving up your voice. Elections are decided by the people who go out and vote. Take some time and learn about the measures and the candidates and the issues. If you don't vote, someone else will make the decision for you. Your power is in your vote. Number 3, it is your money. You pay taxes, but you do not know how the money is being used. Most people don't. Voting is your chance to choose how your tax dollars should be spent, such as funding for health care and social services. Food stamps are very important to the elderly. Voice your concern by voting. Voting is an opportunity for change. Do you want to make a positive impact with your life? Voting gives you that chance. Support the candidates and the ballot measures that can help your community and your state and even the nation for the greater good. Make your voice heard in these elections. The community depends on you. Our communities are made up of friends, loved ones, neighbors, and children. Some may not know how important voting is, while others don't have the privilege. Make the decision to vote for yourself and those around you. Make sure your voice is heard. Vote in all upcoming elections. Make certain that your voice is heard. Start preparing now to vote. Go and register at the Secretary of State's office. Find out where your polling place is located and be prepared to be the first person in line on the voting day. If you do not have transportation to the polling place, call your local library and find out who is offering transportation to polling locations. Regardless, you must vote. We thank you for listening to my broadcast. We would like for you to consider the women we just discussed. Think about the lives they led, what they had to do to win, the forces that they were fighting, and how they managed their families, their friends, their spouses, and their jobs. What these women did with their lives was not easy, but they stepped out into the unknown believing in themselves. They were willing to share their lives with others. They had great compassion and love for their fellow man. Do yourself a favor and read about these women. They will inspire you. You have no idea what you can accomplish with your life. All you have to do is believe. You are capable of great things. All you have to do is stand up and try. It is important that you wake to the forces affecting your lives and the lives of your children. You cannot sit back and let someone else do the work. You must become involved. It is all hands on deck. One day you may be sick and elderly and in need of food stamps. Then what? Are you going to sit at home saying to yourself, I should have done something better with my life? I should have joined other people in working toward a better community. I should have voted more. I should have made voting a priority in my life so that I could make my wishes known to the men and women I was sending to Washington instead of telling myself that my vote did not matter. You can do better with your life, but you must change the way you think. You need to expose your mind to different subjects. You need to surround yourself with people who are working toward a goal in their lives and not people who are standing in line waiting for the bar to open. You need to associate with people who are willing to pay for a tutor for their children to learn to read instead of purchasing marijuana to make themselves feel good. If you are a person who is constantly putting yourself down, you need to see a counselor or a psychiatrist. Do not lose your life to depression. Go seek help and the advice from a professional. You have no idea how much better you will feel. Your seeking a professional will help not only you but your family. Illnesses in families affect everyone. No one escapes the effect of self loathing and depression. Stop concerning yourself with what others think of you or what you think others think of you. What you must ask yourself is, what is it that I want out of life? And once you make that decision, you are to formulate a plan and start working toward that goal. And stop worrying about being alone. You are never alone. God is always with you. And remember, you are the prophet of your life. Recovering your life from foreclosure, bankruptcy, divorce, or other personal tragedies is not easy, but you must believe. You may be wounded, broken, battered, and hurt by life, but you must stand up and fight. People often say, when you're going through hell, never give up. It's easy for someone to say this, but talk is cheap. But you are in a place where every turn you take are met with a challenge or trouble, one thing after another. I'm not here to simply tell you not to give up. I understand what it means to be going through what you're going through right now. I step on a cement floor being bitten by spiders to survive. However, I'm here to tell you that change is possible. There is light at the end of the tunnel, but you must hang on and do as I tell you. Yes, change is possible. I want you to hope and to believe against even all evidence. Despair is no respecter of status. It is no respecter of age, background, gender, or color. Somewhere right now there is a child crying, a man high on drugs, a mother dancing in a club just to pay her bills. Somewhere right now out there is a person heartbroken, a loss of a dear one, a failed promise of love. Somewhere out there is a person clothed in rags, without a home, without affection, and without a family, and without love. Somewhere right now, someone out there is broken, going through a rough time. I say unto you, hold on, stand fast. You can restore and recover your life. You must believe that you are worth fighting for, regardless of what the world says. When I lost everything and had to live in my car, I had a person to forecast gloom and doom into my life. She said the only person in the world that I loved would desert me. This did not happen. When a doctor punched a hole in my heart and sewn me back up, and I bled inside my chest cavity for 7 days, I did not die. God sent me an angel to help me. When cancer visited me, I did not die. God sent me an angel to stand by me. I still have both these friends today. They have seen the best of me and the worst of me. I say unto you, believe and stand fast. Help is on the way. In closing, remember, when you read and learn with your child, the entire family benefits. Let us see how strong you are to honestly work with your child to improve the entire family. Have the courage to say to your child, I do not know, but I will find out for you. Let us see how emotionally strong you are to honestly work on a problem with your child. Saying I do not know is a courage, not a weakness. Have the courage to say I do not know, then go and ask a librarian to help you. Your child will learn his or her self-esteem and self-confidence from you. When you ask for help, it lets your child know there is no weakness in asking for help to obtain knowledge. Everyone in his or her lifetime will have to ask for help from someone. Your child will learn from your flexibility and courage. You can get more information on Women of Courage at touchedbythelight.us. Thank you for listening to Women of Courage. If your vagina isn't working for you and you have a house filled with children and no husband, then you need to change. You need to start reading to learn how to win at life. You will learn a woman should never be without money. If you have to choose between eating and spending your last dollar, you need to drink water. Never spend your last dollar. Drink water. Learn that you can gain freedom through reading and writing. Power can be black or green. Take care of yourself first. Otherwise, you will not be able to take care of anyone else. You need to visit the website touchedbythelight.us to read inspirational articles and to watch inspirational videos. These articles and videos can lead you out of the darkness. You must read. You can no longer keep conducting your life based on information that you learned 10, 15, or 20 years ago. Stop relying on what your friends have to say and their opinions. Read and get the facts and take control of your life. If you cannot read or you have a problem reading, find someone at the library that can help you. Stop wasting your life away by drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana just because you feel bad.
Resolve is defined as successfully finding the answer to something or making a decision about something. And this is tough for some people. But this is one of the most important things you can do in your life, is deciding firmly and declaring what your purpose will be in this life. Now, you might not have the best job, the best education, or the best family situation, but the starting point to making that change is showing resolve, deciding, what do you want to change in your life? Once you make that decision, you can now focus on what steps are needed to make that change. What steps today can you make to see that change happen? Remember, you are the women of courage.
Please tell your friends and family about our broadcast and invite them to listen to us every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. on 88.1 FM WHPR. You can email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com to learn more about our programs and how you can become involved. You can find inspirational articles by the Women of Courage Show by visiting the website touchedbythelight.us. You can read some of our essays on your lunch hour. These articles will help you last throughout the day. They will inspire you not to quit. God bless, and remember, believe in yourself and stand up. Thank you for listening to Women of Courage, and have a great day.
Yeah.